Hey guys, Carol97 again. This time in a review of the 1/44 scale high-grade Renewable Century Crossbone Gundam X-1 from the Crossbone Gundam series. For colors, we're getting the typical Gundam colors. We have a lot of white, blue, red, yellow, and then some gray for the joints, few accessories, and that is your lot. Very typical Gundam colors, though it has to be said, the blue is very, very dark. Overall, it looks pretty good, and we have some really nice color separation going on in the model. These small thingies here are molded in yellow. Even the skull on the forehead is molded in white. That was the biggest surprise to me. And not only is it very nice that it's white, but it's also very nicely molded. Some very nice little detail on there. Even the teeth are molded in. So that skull was a big surprise. It looks really, really gorgeous. Other than that, well, a few smaller details will require stickers, but when you look at the sticker sheet, we don't really need that many of them. We have some yellow ones here for little thrusters on the shoulder, the little Vulcan guns. And over there on the back, the same thingies that we need. Then we need the yellow parts here on his booster pods, and that's almost it. Of course, we get the typical ones for the eyes, and we actually get two eye stickers because we get two faceplates. And when I quickly grab this again, you can see the other pair of eyes is ready to be used. Then some more stickers. The blue ones on the knees are stickers. The blue here on the shoulder is a sticker. Might not be that visible, but this was just one big white piece, so this was in white, needed a sticker. Then this very nice one on the chest is a sticker. Unfortunately, it's not molded into the body, so you're kind of gonna have to guess, and you also won't be able to paint it, though. You know, the sticker is very nice, and it's going to be very hard to replicate that with paint regardless. Then we get one final one here, which is going on the Zambuster. Unfortunately, this thing is very white, and I meant the Buster gun. The Zambuster is the combined one. So yeah, this is very white looking. It could have done with a gray sticker here, because this piece has to be in gray. That on the other side, of course, could have been a sticker. And this here and this little part, those things could have been gray. It didn't need a lot, just a few stickers to break up the white, because this looks very white. Even if you're going to panel line it, well, it's still going to be a bit... yeah. Same goes for the beam Zamber here. It could have done with a little sticker here, or just have it molded in gray. Other than that, without that, it just looks a bit on the white side. But break out the gray paint, that's really the biggest complaint I have about this thing. Moving on with the articulation, head goes up, down, rotates around all the way, chicken movement backwards and forwards, arms rotate around, shoulder to go up about that far on the ball joint, and then up about that far for slightly more than 90 degrees in total. Then we'll rotate around below the shoulder, go forwards about that far, backwards not quite as much, then bend at the elbow at two joints, and it could bend even further if it wasn't for the shoulder armor, so that's really cool. Finally, another model kit with double jointed elbows. Hands on ball joints will wiggle around, turn around, and do everything a ball joint does. Now, the biggest annoyance about the articulation on this thing, the waist is on a ball joint, goes nicely forwards, nicely backwards, will wiggle around, but the ball joint on mine is far too loose and very easily pops up. Now, I'm not sure if this is just mine, or, you know, maybe there was an unfortunate thing wrong with the poly cap, with the ball joint, so maybe it's not as much of an issue with everyone, but mine does have it rather annoyingly, and it's very loose on there, so I'm probably going to see if I can replace that thing with another one. But straight out of the box, that is kind of an annoyance. We'll rotate around all the way without any issue at all from either front skirts, back skirts, side skirts. Front skirts molded together, can be separated. Legs go forwards really nicely, backwards that far, and there goes the front skirt. Legs go out really nicely, We'll rotate around, go back in there. The knees are double jointed, and that is about as much as you could possibly hope for. That wasn't supposed to happen. Let's put that back in there. There we go. Nobody saw that. Knee guards can go up and down a bit. Feet forwards really nicely. Backwards also really nicely. And side to side also really far. That is really cool. So for dynamic poses, this thing is going to be absolutely fantastic. Then we'll also rotate around. Push that back in. There we go. And finally, also the backpack, nicely articulated. These things are on ball joints, so they will, and you stay. They will go upwards, downwards slightly. We'll rotate around a bit if you would want to. The biggest thing they have to do, go in and out. So you can put them all kind of like this. We have all the thrust going backwards. And they will be able to go downwards a little bit further. And that, there we go. Pull them back out, and the thrusters themselves. It's not really a hinge, as you can see, just plastic rubbing against plastic, and then they allowed it to kind of move in there, but it can go up and down. Once we have that thing back in there, there we go. So even when they're all out like this, you can have the thrusters facing backwards. There we go. So overall, the articulation on this thing is really nice. It's just a shame that mine seems to have a very loose waist joint. Also, one final thing, the legs can do, the hips can go up and down. So that is going to come in handy with, for example, a kneeling pose. On to accessories, and let's start off with what is already on the machine. So these things fold forward, same thing on both arms. Then you have to remove this thing very carefully so as not to break anything. There we go. This folds up, that pegs in there, and then you have two options. You can either pick one of the two brand markers, which is essentially a beam saber-esque thing. Pegs in that, there we go. So as I've shown, you get two of these, or you get one very nicely detailed beam shield. Simply take it off, and in goes the beam saber. And that is the beam shield, and that is a very nice looking beam shield. Same kind of detail we've gotten used to from the Victory Gundam line, from the F91 model kit. It looks absolutely fantastic. Then for some more beams that we're getting, we get two beam sabers, which unfortunately do not store anywhere. Now the one, I'm not sure how to put this, one odd / funny thing about this is, these beam sabers are brand new. They are slightly longer than the old beam sabers, but only by a very slight margin, but are still significantly shorter than the newer style beam sabers. So I guess these are the new style beam sabers. But they are still exactly the same in terms of connection. So if you want to give your Crossbone the really, well, the longer new style beam sabers, you can just give those. Or if you want to give any of your other machines these slightly longer beams, you can give those. And they are absolutely perfect inside of the hands. Now let's put these to the side. As I said, unfortunately, they don't store anywhere on the mobile suit. And talking about beams, you also get the very nice beam Zamber. This thing looks fantastic. Very piratey, fits the theme perfectly, and the beam is just overall gorgeous. It's not super detailed, but it's the shape and the overall theme that it has going for it that makes this thing absolutely great. Unfortunately, you are going to have to paint it a bit in order to make it look absolutely fantastic, but as it is, it's a very nice piratey thing. Goes in the standard holding hands, simply get that here. Put the top back on. And there we go. And you have to make sure that the hand is all the way at the top because the handle is slightly thinner at the bottom and thicker at the top. So if you're gonna put the hand too low, the beam saber is going, well, the beam zammer is going to flail around. But if you put it all the way at the top, this thing is going to be very solid. And look overall, very badass with the crossbone. And along with the beam zammer, we of course get the previously shown buster gun, which shares the same problem as a beam zammer, being very white. This one at least has some gray on it, but still, painting is going to greatly enhance the look of this thing. But what is absolutely fantastic with this gun here, two dedicated trigger finger hands, left and right-handed. And I always love it when they do this, because why would you have to choose which weapon you're going to use in the right hand if they can just give you a trigger finger for the left hand, so you can use all of your weapons. And they have pegs on both sides. The hands come with pegs. So there are holes on both sides for the pegs, meaning this thing is going to be very, very secure. Because of course, yeah, giving it to a model kit without any pegs with a design like this would be a recipe for absolute disaster. But as it is right now, this thing is really neat. And of course, the big feature about the beam zammer and the buster gun is they can dock and form the Zam Buster. You have to remove the hand here. Unfortunately, we are going to have to get rid of this fantastic looking beam saber. The handle goes down. This little flap here goes up. We remove this, and then that goes on there. And there we go. The Zam Buster. Unfortunately, this time around we only get one dedicated holding hand. I guess. Yep. Come back here. Come on. Where'd it go? And it goes. And the thing about this hand is it's at an extreme angle because, of course, with the hilt guard going on there, it is really necessary. So you're not really going to be able to use the other normal holding hands in order to hold on to this gun. Consequently, however, this also means that the gun is going to be at a relatively big angle. As you can see, this is one of the better ways to hold it. And if you put it like this, it's slightly less bad, but then of course you are going to have to stretch the arm like this. Nonetheless, the thing looks absolutely fantastic and would look even better when painted. That is the big unfortunate thing about the Zam Buster. So hey, we get two docking weapons. What more would you want? Well, how about being able to store both of the weapons on the side skirts? Say that you don't want to use these. Off it goes. Got a peg there. And we're going to use it. Simply plug them in there and then on the other side. And that's why I said that that is kind of an annoyance. And then this goes on there or the other way around depending on how you want it. So simply put this thing back on there. There we go. And then of course you can use those beam brand marker things or the beam shield or the heat daggers. You know, round up the accessories with something small like an emergency weapon. That's always really nice. Kind of like the Strike Gundam. And I have to say, I do have a weakness for these little emergency daggers. Because, you know, they're small, they're handy, and you never know when they could come in useful when your other weapons are destroyed. And for some reason, giant robots with like small daggers as emergency weapons have something. There's something about these little daggers that still makes them awesome, even on giant mobile suits. And if two of these daggers weren't enough, there's a hole in the feet. Well, one hole in each of the feet, and that is for yet another dagger. And this one's supposed to go like that. So, in extreme emergency, you can give this guy 4 daggers. However, it is recommended that you ram an action base up his butt if you want to use the heat daggers on the feet. And that is almost all the accessories. We get one more accessory which I've already shown, and that is a second faceplate. The difference is that this one has like a small opening there. Let's focus. It is more noticeable if you trace the paddle lines, but you can see that this one here has a thin line, whereas this is a bigger line. This is the open face, kind of like an extra cooling vent for emergencies. And the real final thing that we're getting is the core fighter. A very white core fighter. A bit too white of a core fighter. I mean, even the core fighter that came with the RX-78-2 at least had 2 colors. They could have given us black or some yellow stickers to go on it. But no, this is just very, very white. At the very least, you can put the backpack on it. Like so. It's very secure. These are supposed to go like that. Then the core fighter gets some extra boost. And when you remove this, the thing that surprised me the most, it kinda holds striker packs. Kinda. It's not the best fit of all time, but you know, if you don't want to pay for the X model Skygrasper, you can always play pretend with this thing. Unfortunately, that does not mean that striker packs fit on the Crossbone Gundam. Well, the launcher and swords pack would probably fit on the back, but the thing with IWSP and Ale Striker pack is that these things here that go over the shoulders on the strikes will not go over the shoulder on the Crossbone because the connection hole is too low on the Crossbone. Also, the other way around, this will not fit on a striker pack and Battle Mobile Suit either because the peg isn't long enough. On the contrary, you can make a perfectly fine Gym Bone. Or Gundam Bone. Or a Gundam Crossbone. RX-78-2. So yeah, this works absolutely perfectly. Well, that's all for accessories that we're getting. As always, the inevitable question is, do you want to buy this? And well, as awesome as this thing is, it is pretty expensive. 1,800 yen is a hefty price for what we're getting. Yes, the accessories that we're getting are pretty awesome, but they're also very monochrome, very white. Get a very white core fighter, we get a very white beam zammer, we get a very white buster gun, and that also means that we get a very white Zam Buster. So if that had been completely engraved, then 1,800 yen, okay, I could have seen where the price came from. But as for now, 1,800 yen still feels a bit on the high side. Meaning that if you like this thing, if you like the way it looks, if you're a big fan of the Crossbone Gundam, by all means do get this. If you like mobile suits from the F91 time, going on to the Victory timeline, you're absolutely going to love this thing. It's great. It is, as is tradition with the current 1/144 scales from F91 and Victory Gundam, it is a bit too big, but at the very least, it is in scale with the other ones from Higher Universal Center. So there's that. So if you're a fan of those kinds of mobile suits, if you like F91, definitely get this. You're absolutely going to love this. It's a great model kit, but it's just a bit too expensive. For example, if you're not really sure, if you're like doubting between the F91 or the Crossbone Gundam, well, the F91 is 1,200 yen and the Crossbone Gundam is 1,800 yen. And, you know, they're about the same size. The Crossbone Gundam has a giant backpack, but, you know, that's kind of where the price difference goes. Or, for example, the Ailstrike Gundam is 1,200 yen, has a humongous backpack, and the only thing that the Ailstrike doesn't really have is a combining weapon and a few of the beam effect parts. So while it might not be the best price value out there, it is an awesome machine. I can definitely recommend if you already like it. Just keep in mind there are better deals out there. And now for some more size comparisons, let's quickly put these two next to each other for a few more seconds. As you can see, this guy is supposed to be 16.5 meters, or no, it was supposed to be 0.5 meters bigger than the F91. So it's about the same size. Now, I'm not really sure. I know one of these two was supposed to be 15.9 and the difference was 0.5 meters. So that is pretty good. We got the Victory Gundam here, also about the same size. So yeah, there you have it. These two are definitely in scale. Putting them aside, next to another small machine, the Gunnies. And finally, let's put him next to the standard machines. Got a standard size Gym Custom, and as you can see, even though he is slightly bigger than he should be, he is still quite a lot bigger, quite a lot smaller than the Gym Custom. And why not the Zaku 3? As you can see, there are definitely bigger machines out there for less money. So that's all for this review, and see you guys next time.